I don't know what law student needs to hear this, but stop trying to be an influencer.
She goes on to talk about how you should not throw away your legal career for becoming an influencer. At first I was like, yeah, she's right. As a general rule, law is still a very conservative industry, and big law even more so, and law firm partnerships are incredibly risk averse. But then I started thinking more about it, and I realized this is one of those cases where good advice becomes toxic. It's how we got into our current political situation right now, where the Trump administration is actively targeting big law firms, and no one, not even the partners, is saying anything about it. Having been both a big law associate and a content creator at the same time, I do think there's a lot that big law associates and partners could potentially learn from influencing. There's this trap I see in big law where juniors come in with all these ideas of changes that they want to see and reforms, and I get that, I was one of those too, but then it slowly drains out of them after they get sucked into the billable hours, the sleepless nights, the dwindling social life, the lack of agency that you'll just find at any bottom of a hierarchy. Creating content and influencing does counteract that, because posting reminds you that you do have a voice. Of course, this is also where you can get in trouble with a partnership, but it's also a very powerful asset if you learn to navigate it correctly. The problem I see in big law right now is that no one wants to wield their power, not even the partners. The Trump administration has really been targeting big law firms for having represented people that Trump did not like in the past. And big law firms are not saying anything. Paul Weiss even struck a deal with the Trump administration to provide $40 million worth of pro bono services. Discussions between firms on issuing a joint statement criticizing the orders have been ongoing, but many firms are loath to speak out first. They're scared that if you're perceived as anti-administration, it will hurt your firm and your business, which is, sure, okay, fair worry, but at what cost? As the executive branch ignores judicial orders, as we enter certain constitutional crisis and the only question is how large, this is an insane time to stay quiet or capitulate. And I actually think everyone in big law, including partners, should take a page from influencers and try to influence. If you like your job reading contracts and running red lines and writing briefs, then this is the time to speak up. Because if we don't, lawyering will not look like that in a post-law world. We're gonna have to learn how to kneecap people, because that is what lawyering will look like when there is no more laws. Mob law enforcement. And ask yourself, what is the point of all that prestige? All that money, all that social capital? The point isn't to amass it and die. The point is to spend it when you have it, to make the world a better place, which I'm sure most lawyers at some point in their life wanted to do. So if you're straight passing, if you're white passing, if you're hot, you should be speaking up, because otherwise, what the fuck are we doing?